Today I'm going to talk to you and answer a question that I get asked all the time. Do I need to speak with correct grammar all the time? Hello and welcome to today's Essential English Tips Live. My name's David and I'm the teacher at learningenglishessentials.com. Today's question is one that I get asked very often by English students, and that's, do I need to speak with correct grammar all of the time? So, when you're learning English, specifically for, especially for, the purpose of taking tests and getting into, university degrees and things like that, taking those IELTS tests and similar tests, students, those tests, really require a high knowledge of English grammar in order to be, very, very successful. And so the logical question that comes to people is, that of, when I'm speaking with people, do I need to speak with correct grammar all of the time? English grammar is, one of the trickiest parts of learning English, and speaking with correct grammar is and can be very, very challenging. So, do you need to be able to speak with correct grammar all the time? And the answer to that, is definitely no. You do not need to speak with correct grammar all the time. This idea can be especially overwhelming for new English learners and be something that they're quite afraid of, being understood or not being understood if they don't use correct grammar. And here is something that will relieve those people, and you'll appreciate hearing this, is that you don't need to speak with correct English grammar all of the time. There's a few things that are in your favour as English learners that will help you communicate what it is that you want to get across. And that is the ultimate, deciding factor of, the effectiveness, of how good your English communication is can I be understood by, whoever it is that I'm speaking to? Can the person I'm speaking to understand the message that I'm trying to get across? And so with that in mind, making errors in grammar will not be a major determining factor in your message not being understood by someone. So what you will actually find with English speakers is that they will understand far more than you will expect them to. Native English speakers in particular, they have a lifetime of experience to, using the English language to at their disposal. So what they are very good at is being able to understand what you mean from what's being said. So if you've made small errors, it may not sound perfectly correct, but the meaning of what you are trying to say will most likely, almost always, be very easily understood by English speakers. So keep that in mind and keep that as something to boost your English confidence. You don't need to be speaking perfectly correctly from a grammar point of view in order to be understood by the people you are speaking with. This is very helpful, and what you will find also is that native English speakers, they often do not speak in grammatically correct ways all of the time. Very often native English speakers are taking shortcuts with their language and not speaking completely grammatically correctly. And so use this to your advantage as a English learner, in knowing that you can have effective conversations with an English speaker without being perfectly grammatically correct. So use that to boost your confidence. This is not to mean that you shouldn't learn English grammar at all, and which it is still a very, very important thing to be learning and focusing on. The message here is that you don't need to be perfectly correct, and so having an idea, or having the best idea that you can of how things should be said, will improve your chances of communicating effectively. But making errors will most likely not stop your English message, the message that what you're trying to say, from getting through to the other person, which is the most important thing. So when you're learning English or any language, your goal should be to communicate a message, and if your message is communicated, you should see that as a success, even if errors have been made. So keep that in mind when you're learning English, and don't let your knowledge of English grammar don't let that stop you from having English conversations. That is the most important thing that you should be practicing, actually having English conversations. Don't wait to have those conversations until you are perfectly grammatically correct. Have those conversations, make mistakes, ask questions of English learners, English speakers, if you are unsure of how something should be said. Ask that question of an English speaker if you get that opportunity, and take that take that knowledge on when you have that opportunity. So that's it. You do not need to be speaking grammatically correct, and if you are waiting to be until your grammar skills are at an extremely high level, you are potentially losing a lot of valuable practice time by waiting longer to have those English conversations. And so once you start having English conversations, you will naturally be making more and more progress as you use the language, and you have those times where you get those small corrections from someone, and that's a thing that's in your favor as English learners, that you don't need to wait until you're 100% correct on your English grammar. I hope you've enjoyed this, found this English tip helpful, and if this is your first time here, then I'd like to welcome you to Learning English Essentials, and I'd ask that you click the subscribe button down the bottom there, and if you're looking for more from learningenglisessentials.com, there's the card in the top right corner, and that will take you to get my English conversation practice video and worksheet, and you can see everything else that we have on learningenglisessentials.com. I hope you found the lesson helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. That's all for today. Goodbye for now. Ciao.